Hello everyone, welcome to Claret and Booze. I've had a week off, or should I say you've had a week off? Me. Yeah, it's been quite nice. Transfer window's closed. Had a break in the football, so I've decided to sort of take a step back, have a period of reflection, you know? No, I've just done nothing. I've just been lazy. It's been quite nice. But there has been a period of reflection, and it's been good. It's been nice to have a bit of a wind down after a very, very hectic month, where I think we was recording a show a day, which isn't something we typically do. We was literally, because there was so much to talk about. So there's going to be no news in this, nothing at all. Complete opinion piece. I've watched a couple of shows. I'm going to talk about them and what I feel it means for West Ham. And I am quite excited about it. I really am. I feel like my defences, which are great. I'm a very defensive person. I'm cynical by nature. They are being dismantled by this man, Graham Potter. They are. Obviously, words are good. You've got to deliver it, but I think we're seeing more than positive signs. Okay, as always, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe, hit the bell notification, and don't forget, most importantly, please drop a like on this video because that does really help us. Now, I'm going to start off before I get into Graham Potter. I'm going to start off with another discussion that I watched a few days ago, and that was, expressions on Spurs. He does a weekly podcast with his brother. It's called Bants Ooze or something like that. And once you get over the initial ranting from expressions about Spurs because they're crap, they get into a discussion piece on modern managers and how everything's about them and how they're basically sick of the modern manager. Because basically the job, it was his brother. I think his brother's name's Rents. Is that right? Be a good name for me. His brother's name's Rents, and he basically, his words were, fuck these managers and their philosophies. It shouldn't be like that in a Premier League club. You literally should be, your job is to come into a club where you've got an expensively assembled squad, and your job is to design a way of playing and a tactic that motivates the players and gets the best out of what you've got. You can't just keep on ripping up and starting again. It isn't about your philosophy, it's about the football club. And I completely agree. And we're seeing it more and more and more now. We saw it with Lopetegui, where he just kept on flogging the same dead horse. It weren't working. It was terrible. He never had the pieces to deliver the style of play that he wanted to play, but he just carried on doing it. We saw it with Company, and he got Burnley relegated. And as a reward for that, he went and got the Bayern Munich job. So this is a problem. Managers are out there to try and demonstrate their own skill and their own worth and their own value over and above everything else, which is mad. Football should be about the 22 blokes on the pitch and the fans. That's what it should be about. Getting the best out of what you've got. And we have moved away from that. He used Cole Palmer as an example. He said if you look at Cole Palmer last year for Chelsea, he was a world beater from wide areas because he had space. He used to drift inside, but when he had space to breathe, he was unbelievable. And now what Maresca's done is he's basically planted him in the middle of the pitch with a restricted position, and he's starting to fade. And you see this everywhere, this kind of square pegs in round holes, just to suit the whim of the manager that you've got. We are seeing it with Ange Postecoglou as well, come crumbling down because he's only got one style of play. I know they've got injuries, but one style of play. And I know I've championed Postecoglou before, but we've had it with managers just gone. We had it with Moyes, who only played one way. We had it with Lopetegui, who only played one way. It's infuriating. And what we've got here with Potter, and I've got no doubt that he will eventually get as close to his philosophy into this team, and it will start to look like a physical representation of how he sees football in the end. But what he's done is very simple. I think he's just gone back to basics. If you look at the demeanour of our players under Lopetegui, they was miserable. Now, I know, no, they were miserable. We were winning a few games. The results weren't awful. It was by no stretch the worst start to a season that we've ever had. So it was just purely the environment and everything. What is happening with my beard? It was purely the environment that was creating that. And he's done an amazing job in a short space of time with these players to build togetherness. You can see they're happier. And I do think the trick has been just getting these players motivated themselves. Like, for instance, Lucas Paqueta. You can see he's grabbed hold of Lucas Paqueta and he's gone, you're fucking amazing. You are brilliant. Go out there, enjoy your football again. Get back to doing what you love. El Machine, Alvarez, what's happened? Don't hold back. Fly in at tackles. Be Be what you enjoy being. Go out there, boss that midfield. Don't get a red card, but if you get a yellow, we'll manage it. Don't worry about it. Just be the best that you can be. This is what he's doing with these players. You can see it. He's setting up in a system, really, that protects certain players. So if you look at Soufal and Cresswell, who would have been massively exposed in the Lopetegui system, they're not so much now. So he's setting up responsibly, whilst giving freedom to players to go out and express themselves. It's going back to basics. It's like kids' football. You want your kids to go out and enjoy football. This is the whole reason they got into football in the first place. And you can see that being repaid by players such as Lucas Paqueta, who's definitely the pin-up boy for player transformations under Potter. You can see it in his effort levels. Running through brick walls. I've never seen Paqueta run like this before, ever. You know, they are inspired. They're inspired because they've been strangled and suffocated by previous managers who have basically just tried to stem the flow of their game and their talent to suit their own agendas, if you like. It's brilliant to see. It is. Now, like I've already said, I've got no doubt that Potter eventually will slowly change things over time and we'll start to see Potter's true vision come to fruition. What we're seeing at the moment, I'm sure, isn't much other than Potter's playing responsibly, he's not exposing players, and he's empowering them to be the best that they can be. And we're seeing the players enjoy themselves. As a side note from that, we're seeing the fans connect with the players because that's how it works. If the players are enjoying their football and they're having fun, we're going to have fun. That's it. It's as simple as that. Football is not chess, although many people are trying to make it so. You know, a great manager will get the best out of what he's got. And I do think that Potter is a fantastic coach. He really is. And I am wounded by this club. I'm wounded by Moyes. I'm wounded by Lopetegui and ultimately the man that runs this club who keeps on putting these people in these positions. So I'm cynical by nature. I am. I'm always waiting for something to collapse. And I'm still not completely... I still don't think we're out of the woods yet because ultimately Potter isn't Sullivan's man. Is he going to back him? I am worried about that. I am. But you can't get too consumed with it because it's outside our control at the moment. It's just brilliant that we've got a guy that wants to connect with the fans again. He does want to connect with us. He's trying. He's definitely trying. None more so than in that interview on the Ironcast, on the podcast. He was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And yes, there is an element of... He's just talking common sense. And it is what we want to hear. But it doesn't mean he doesn't believe it. This is the thing. You can see he believes it by what he's done so far. It's a common sense, practical approach to building a team and developing something. You know, you're taking something that's broken, you're repairing it, and you build from there. And there were some little veiled digs, some passive-aggressive digs at previous managers and West Ham. I did feel that. I saw that. You know, basically, he's going to fight back. Because he's going to have to deal. He spoke about the blame game. He's going to have to deal with a lot of that at West Ham from the bloke above. The minute something goes slightly wrong, Sullivan throws people under the bus. He doesn't fix and repair, he replaces. Well, other managers in the past, you know, they've come out all guns blazing and they try and fight their corner. Potter's different. He's intelligent. I think he'll just fight it with kindness. This is what he'll do. And I don't think Sullivan's ever had to deal with anything like this before. So the fact he spoke a lot about the blame game in that wasn't just a kind of a veiled message to other managers that have been here before. We know Lopetegui and Moyes were hard asses that victimised certain players. We know that. You know, so that was definitely a veiled dig at them, but also that fits to the bloke who runs the club as well. It does. He also spoke about recruitment and the importance of Kyle McCauley to him. You know, to have a right-hand man that he completely that he trusts enough to completely delegate player recruitment to go out and get players in that he knows will fit the way that he wants to play, and that allows him to concentrate on what he's good at, and that is coaching, because it's a full-time job. I've said this before. These other managers, people like Moyes, who want to do everything. They're jacks of all trades, master of none. Potter is a specialist. I've been saying this all along. This is why I didn't like the idea of him being in full control of transfers. It does look now like we're going to go out and get somebody in above McCauley as well to be director of football, be that Dan Ashworth or someone else. That is a role that absolutely has to be filled. So it's brilliant. I love the way he spoke there. And again, that was a veiled dig at old school managers such as Moyes, such as Lopetegui, who want to do it themselves. You know, he's a specialist. His job is to get the players to work with the players that he's got. You know, look at the academy, look outwards, but look inwards as well. Getting that balance right. He spoke about balance, and I just think he's laid down the path, because it's one thing speaking, but it's another thing delivering. But he's laid down a path. He knows that West Ham fans are not stupid, or football fans in general are not stupid. So if you say something, you're going to have to deliver on that. You are, because otherwise you're going to be held accountable. I don't think he's here for the short term. I think we don't need much at West Ham. You know, we're very what's the word? We are a reactionary fan base when we're not getting what we want, or we don't buy into something. But if we buy into it, and we buy into you as a person, that's different. There will be patience. The patience, unfortunately, for Potter has got to be earned. I think he realises that. I'll be honest with you, people like me, you know, I've got PTSD to such a level that the cynicism has gone mental with me. So for a period, I probably will be up and down with it. But he is breaking me down in a really fucking good way. In a really good way. I'm starting to believe again, to believe that there is someone in a really key position at this club that has got the best interests of the club at heart. He really has got... He wants to get the best out of the players. He wants to deliver good football to the fans. And that is ultimately what we're here for, to watch a game of football. So it's really important. I don't know how he's going to manage it to completely see his vision through whilst working for Sullivan. I don't know. But this is certainly a step in the right direction. And like I said, Sullivan's going to have his hands full, because Potter does have Brady on side. I know people have said before that, you know, there isn't a war in the boardroom. Believe me, there is. Brady wants to remain at West Ham. She isn't on the board. She knows that Sullivan, he's not going to be here too much longer. He's not. So she is jockeying for position. You know, he's got her to where she is, but now she wants to stay there because she does fuck all else. So she wants to remain in power at the club. And what she's done is it's a power play. Bringing Potter in is a power play, because he's good. He's very, very good. And he will fight back at all this nonsense, because it is childish nonsense. The way that West Ham operate, he'll fight back by being a grown-up. And I think that in the end, every West Ham fan will be fully on board with it and will see through it. I think Potter can literally pull us through this period. We've needed something. My only concern is that Sullivan still holds all the cards, and he's got KPIs written into his contract. And if we don't finish above where we were when he started, whether Sullivan's got a trigger and he can get rid of him. I still feel like he could, because we know that he isn't his man. I mean, he'd stick with his men through thick and thin, wouldn't he? But maybe not so much somebody that, you know, he didn't want to bring in, because he is a little egomaniac. Very little egomaniac. I don't think that's going to be the case anyway. I do think that Potter's going to succeed this season in getting us to a position that was better than when he took over. That will absolutely happen. And also, KPIs, whatever, it will have to come to a board vote. If the board voted to bring Potter in and they can see positive change, and they can see the players are happier, and they can see the fans are happier at the end of the season, even if there was a KPI written into his contract to that effect, I'm pretty certain that they would vote against Sullivan trying to sack him. They absolutely would, because he can't do it on his own. He can't. So, yeah, I think Potter will be okay. And look, I'm not getting carried away. I'm not calling Potter the second coming of Christ. I know, I've had it sent to me. I know his win rate in the Premier League is 28%. I get it, overall. You know, Brighton, Chelsea and West Ham is 28%. That isn't why I love the guy. I do think that he can grow at West Ham, and I think that he can potentially be one of our best managers. It's that he fits a bill in so many aspects, you know. We didn't start supporting West Ham to win trophies. You know, it's very unlikely that, you know, we'll see us win a trophy again. I didn't think I was ever going to see us win a trophy. So if you're not going to have that success, what you need is identity. You need to feel like you belong and you believe in something. And this guy can restore that. It's been stripped away from us. And that's what I'm buying into now. I'm not saying that we won't win anything off the back of it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But there's definitely an element for me now where I know I've been a little bitch at times. I have been. I've been too reactionary. I've called myself out for that. I've said that. And I'm not saying that I'll never be reactionary again. It's just the way that I am sometimes. But I do, deep down in my soul at the minute, believe in Potter. I do. And I'm not getting deluded. I don't think he's Pep Guardiola. I don't think that he can turn water into wine. I don't believe that at all. I don't like all this talk about us selling our key players. Quite clearly, Potter wants to build his team around these great players. Look at what he's done with Alvarez and Paqueta. Look at how they're playing. We need this. Every team in the Premier League, we've got a great coach. Every team in the Premier League has got a great coach. The difference makers are the ones that determine whether or not you finish in the top 8 or you just also rans. Every club has got a good coach. It's the players that make a difference. So all of those that are starting to think, oh, we don't need Paqueta, we don't need Kudus, we don't need Alvarez, we don't need this player, we'll just go and buy championship players. It can't turn water into wine. If we want Potter to succeed and we do want to have a chance of getting back into Europe, I'll be honest with you, I would not sell any of these players in the summer. I wouldn't. I'd resist every bid. If you're ambitious and you want to get back in Europe, because when we sold Declan Rice and we reinvested that money, we was in Europe. It made it easier to attract top talent. If we let Paqueta, Alvarez, Kudus, Todibo now linked with Man United, if we let these players go, it's going to be difficult to get them to come back in and buy into West Ham at this stage when we're going to have been the second year out of Europe. You know, we've got to dig our heels in and give it a good go, a good push next year. We've got to. So retain the players, build on what we've got. There's a load of crap at the club that we can sell on. We don't need to be selling our top players, our key players. We cannot be selling difference makers. There's a lot of players who make no difference. Sell them and bring more difference makers in. Let's have a big push for Europe. Let's back the man, not strip the team down to its bare bones so that we've got to start again, because there is nothing in the Premier League that says that Potter can turn water into wine and make us into a top 8 club with no tools. Nothing at all. So let him build on what he's got. Don't take it all away from him, and let's enjoy the ride next season. We have got. I do maintain that this season we are not safe yet. I'm not getting carried away this season. We could lose to Brentford, then lose to Arsenal, and then we'll start shitting ourselves. That could happen. So we're not safe from relegation yet. Once we hit 36 points, then I'll relax, then I'll calm down, then we're in pre-season. So hopefully we can get those few points, because it's only a few, then we can relax. Then he can start having some fun. He can start tinkering. But he's going to have to get the points in first. You know, points on the board first. Anyway, look, I said it was going to be a ramble. I said it was going to be blah, blah, blah. It has been. I am feeling positive. I'm looking forward to the Brentford game. I do think we'll win, but there's no guarantees. It's Premier League football. And we'll see where we go. All right. I'll speak to you all soon. Come on, you ones.